What do you got? Gavin Newsom caves?
It is Sunday, February 23rd, 2025, and California Governor Gavin Newsom has caved formally, requesting $40 billion in federal funding for the LA fire damage, something he promised he wouldn't do unless there were no strings attached. Well, there are strings.
Obviously, there's
Trump
strings.
has backed him so far into a corner, he's got no choice. Get ready, because we're about to see voter ID come to California. Also,
yeah, because he took that away.
Fired by MSNBC
Trump was trying to make him put back voter ID.
Elon responding to Trump asking to make Doge even more aggressive. Well, he has complied. Wait till you see this. Also, more stories as well from around the country. But before we get started, thank you for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps out the channel. And consider subscribing so you don't miss these regular updates. President Trump has backed California Governor Gavin Newsom so far into a corner, he's got no means of escape besides capitulation. That is what we just saw yesterday. Gavin Newsom formally submitting his federal funding request for $40 billion to help pay for the reconstruction efforts following the LA fires, something he and LA's mayor, by the way, have direct culpability in. It's their policies that led to what happened in Pacific Palisades and Altadena and Pasadena last month. Submitting his request to Congress yesterday, saying it's clear that recovery from these fires is beyond the capabilities of California alone and necessitates the support of the federal government, and that he understands there will be conditions, sending that letter to Speaker Mike Johnson. Now, what's interesting is that Speaker Johnson and Donald Trump both already told Newsom, don't even bother asking for federal funding unless you are ready to deal. We don't trust you to spend the money competently. That's what they told.
Yeah. I mean, if he's not gonna play ball with his fucking dumb rules that he did in California, you're not getting that funding.
Saying, we've seen how you spend money. We've seen the way California spends our tax dollars.
It is bad.
Therefore, without a written and signed agreement with strict guidelines on what and how this money will be spent, don't even bother requesting it. That was last month. Watch.
ID as a condition for aid to California. Is that
I remember this.
Would you insist on voter ID in exchange for aid to California?
Yeah, we've got to work out the details of that. I have not spoken to the president about that issue since he said that. He'll be here tonight, of course, for dinner with us, and that's one of the topics of discussion. Listen, there are a lot of issues going on in California, and we have been lamenting the lack of voter security there for some time, election security. We were deeply concerned about it in this last election cycle, and we saw 3 of our seats, frankly, slip away from us in the weeks that it took to continue counting ballots in California when seemingly every other state and nation in America can get it done.
This all started right after the fires began. Trump immediately
which is weird.
All federal funding for California on January 28th, signing an executive order that implemented a complete funding freeze to Newsom state. Shortly thereafter, we started seeing Newsom grovel and sweet talk President Trump. Then, a few days ago, on Thursday, Trump's new Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy, announcing an investigation into the $16 billion Newsom wasted on his infamous high-speed rail project. $16 billion gone. 16 years later, nothing to show for it. Just 600 yards of steel framing in the Central Valley. That's it. Just sitting there, useless. Watch.
Why have we spent $16 billion for California's high-speed rail, and there's still no rail? They're over a decade behind schedule, and they keep asking for more money. Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy showed up with a message for him. Listen.
I want to address the protesters for a moment, if I could. I think they were chanting, build a rail. It's been 17 years and $16 billion, and no rail has been built. So if you want to go protest somewhere, if you want to shout at someone, go to the governor's mansion. Go talk to Democrats in the legislature who have brought us this crappy project. We're done with it. And you know what? You're going to have people who love fraud, who love waste, who love trains to nowhere. This is a boondoggle. They should ask the question, who didn't build my rail? Who got rich? What consultants, what politicians' husbands got rich off of this money?
California handed a bunch of politically collected contractors $16 billion almost 20 years ago.
Built the fucking rail system with shit planning. Like, what?
He's a train guy.
I won't ask for that
shit. Keep
shit.
pumping money into a boondoggle. You got to pull the plug, and that's what Duffy did. California's on their own.
That investigation's just the icing on the cake. Trump already had Newsom over a barrel after the federal funding freeze, using that position of strength to put out his terms last month. It's the art of the deal. Trump wrote a book on this. It's what he does for a living, telling Newsom and the world, we need 2 things from you if you want this money. Number 1, the free flow of all California water, and number 2, voter ID for all future California elections. Yes, he said that. Watch.
Funding to Los Angeles because of its sanctuary city policy.
I want to see 2 things in Los Angeles: voter ID, so that the people have a chance to vote, and I want to see the water be released and come down into Los Angeles and throughout the state. Those are the 2 things. After that, I will be the greatest president that California has ever seen. I want the water to come down to Los Angeles, and also go out to all the farmland that's barren and dry. You know, they have land that they say is the equivalent of the land in Iowa, which is about as good as there is anywhere on earth. The problem is it's artificial, because they artificially stop the water from going onto the land. So I want 2 things. I want voter ID for the people of California. They all want it. Right now you don't have voter ID. People want to have voter identification. You want to have proof of citizenship. Ideally, you have one-day voting, but I just want voter ID as a start, and I want the water to be released, and they're going to get a lot of help from the U.S. Thank you very much. I'll see you in a little while. We'll see you at the site.
We've been reporting this for months, that Trump was coming for California, that a major domestic battle was coming between the Trump administration and California. Trump has his eye on California, and they know it. Newsom, Democrats, they know it, and they're powerless to stop it at this point. He has got them over a barrel.
White House is looking to sell the Nancy Pelosi Federal Building on 7th Street and the century-old building at 50 United Nations Plaza. The Trump administration says it will save money by avoiding maintenance on the buildings, selling the properties, then leasing office space for federal workers. Former Congresswoman Jackie Spears says it's just about vengeance.
It's another example of how he's coming after Democrats, he's coming after California, and it's all about payback.
Trump's goal is to fix the mess these left-wing policies have caused. The state of California is the gem, the jewel of this country. Hands down, one of the prettiest states in the nation, if not the world, and it's resource rich, and it has 54 electoral votes. Bottom line, Trump is coming for California. He wants to flip it red and fix the mess, including the wildfire problem.
Good fix.
In another story, MSNBC has terminated their contract with Brace Bader Joy Reid, announcing this morning
I agree.
a major shakeup
It's a fucking big-ass mess in California.
First to go is the far-left primetime host, Joy Reid's The Readout. That's the name of her show. According to the Times, Reid's last episode will happen sometime this week. And good riddance. This is the same lady who urged her viewers to avoid Trump voting relatives during holiday dinners. Just 2 days ago, Joy Reid compared all black Republicans to fried chicken. Yes, she really said that live on your watch.
Well, I mean, she's fired now.
McDonald's, who walked out after Dixie was played in New York and has no shame there. They say he's going to be the governor of Florida now.
Yeah, every community has what I call their chickens for Colonel Sanders. Muslims had their halal chickens. The black community has their chickens. Byron Donalds is a grown-ass black man who referred to Donald Trump as his daddy. And what I want to tell the Byron Donalds, and every community's got a Donald. I got a Kash Patel. We got a Nimrat, you know, we got a Haley. We all got them, all right? What I want to say is this. They'll never love you. They'll never love you. No matter what you do, they'll never love you. You can never wipe out that brown or black skin.
Joy Reid has been one of the loudest, most obnoxious Trump haters in corporate media, all of which have seen their viewership tank since Trump won re-election. Nielsen ratings from February 20th show MSNBC now behind even CNN in the key demo. That is bad. Only 89,000 viewers in the demo tuned into MSNBC on Thursday. That's awful. We have better ratings on this channel, and we're just some small YouTube channel. Thank you, by the way, for watching. In another story, panic has begun after Elon Musk and Doge just turned up the dial, responding to President Trump's request for Elon to get even more aggressive with his Department of Government Efficiency. Trump responding Friday evening to all the Musk critics, writing on X, Elon's doing a great job, but I would like to see him get more aggressive. Remember, we have a country to save, but ultimately to make greater than ever before, MAGA. And Elon has complied, requiring all federal employees provide a 5-bullet point summary of what they accomplished last week, due by midnight on Monday. Failure to respond will be taken as a resignation. This sending shockwaves through D.C. Democrat Senator Tina Smith from Minnesota freaking out.
Right. Honestly, it's not even hard to do. Just do just say five easy things.
Last night, this is the ultimate dick boss move from Musk, except he isn't even the boss. He's just a dick. Musk responding, "What did you get done last week, Senator?" Saying this email will take you less than 5 minutes to write. It's the least they can do.
What did you get last week,
Senator?
Is this
not refreshing? Finally, someone watching out for our money, taming the beast that is the federal government. Every president should do this. It is their job. The chief executive is the steward of our tax dollars. It's his job to do this, and I'm thrilled, elated.
The fraudsters, liars, cheaters, globalists, and deep state bureaucrats are being sent packing. The illegal alien criminals are being sent home. We're draining the swamp and we're restoring government by the people, for the people. For years, Washington was controlled by a sinister group of radical left Marxists, warmongers, and corrupt special interests who drained our wealth, attacked our liberties, obliterated our borders, and sucked our country dry. Not any longer.
This is the actual
email all
federal
day
workers
3.
received yesterday. What did you do last week? Please reply to this email with approximately 5 bullet points of what you accomplished last week.
I have a YouTube video on that.
Please do not send any classified information, links, or attachments. Deadline is this Monday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, that wraps up the news portion of this video. Now let me tell you about the sponsor for today, Mustang Energy, a pure-play uranium exploration company. You can see their ticker on the screen. This company ties directly into the race the Trump administration is in to unlock America's energy potential. On January 20th, 2025, the future of energy production around the globe experienced a significant shift. Donald Trump's declaration of a national energy emergency on Inauguration Day was designed to expedite approvals for energy infrastructure.
So with this, I think everyone's going nuclear energy, or at least trying to expand infrastructure for nuclear energy. Because even Germany was right. The new Germany guy is trying to do the same thing. right? India's trying to make nuclear energy as well. It seems like everyone is going around trying to do, right, nuclear energy, stuff.
Nuclear power. I believe we're about to see a nuclear energy renaissance under this administration.
Yeah.
President Trump's pick to head the U.S. energy
Everyone's
partners, right,
trying to
has set peace and
build
nuclear power as a part of the domestic
infrastructure
energy
for it
strategy. Right to the
now.
north of our border, in Saskatchewan, Canada, resides one of the world's most promising uranium jurisdictions, the Athabasca Basin. Why do you think Trump's gunning so hard for Canada, making Canada our 51st state? Canada's on track to become the world's largest uranium supplier, with uranium output expected to rise by a third.
That makes sense. The uranium.
Experts projecting that Canada's national uranium production could double by 2035, ensuring a steady fuel supply for domestic and international nuclear programs. The sponsor of today's video, Mustang Energy, ticker MECPF, which is
why the fuck are all these other countries doing nuclear programs, but we're shackling ourselves? Like, what? Doesn't make any fucking sense.
Increasingly turning to nuclear energy. Companies like Amazon, Alphabet, Oracle have invested in small modular reactor technology. Additionally, Meta announced plans for a $10 billion AI center in Louisiana powered by nuclear energy. Canada on track to potentially...
Oh, so some of those facilities... Okay. So that's what he was planning to do. Because I was all like, how is he going to make all this AI infrastructure... Right? Because he wanted to make a bunch of infrastructure for the Stargate AI stuff, right? And what his plan, well, from what it seemed like, he needed to put, right, a lot of fucking building, right, he needed to make new buildings, he needed to make data centers and all that shit, right, he's talking about a huge-ass project that we, like, barely, like, some of these states don't have done. Right, he's making it in California, or, no, Louisiana.
Actually become the world's largest uranium producer. And what's interesting,
I think there were some other places where he was trying to set up some data centers as well.
About this entire situation is that uranium spot price is down 36% since its peak, meaning
or at least infrastructure for the Stargate stuff.
On Mustang Energy nuclear, the only reliable carbon-free energy
so I'm guessing he's going to hook up the nuclear energy to those
now let's focus on Mustang
places.
Energy, which owns numerous projects in the Athabasca Basin and is planning on drilling in the months ahead. So you know what that means when a company produces positive drilling results. If they do, you know what tends to happen. It doesn't always happen, but you know what tends to happen. Its key projects are Ford Lake, close to major uranium deposits like Cameco's Millennium and Denison's Gryphon and Phoenix deposits, Cigar Lake, east of Rough Rider South, Yellowstone and Yellowstone East.
Yeah, Yellowstone.
Dutton, close to the Virgin River Shear Zone. Spur and 914 West, located near Cameco's Key Lake uranium mill. The significance of Mustang Energy's potential lies in the location of these projects to the Athabasca Basin. MECPF's projects are in close proximity to major uranium discoveries. The uranium market facing a severe supply shortage right now, with demand vastly outpacing production. Many uranium mines were shut down in the past decade, and new mines take years to develop. The U.S. relies heavily on foreign uranium, which is geopolitically risky, increasing the need for domestic and allied sources like Canada. Mustang Energy, pure-play uranium exploration company, focused on Canada's Athabasca Basin, one of the world's most valuable uranium regions. The Athabasca Basin, home to one of the world's largest and highest-grade uranium mines. Mustang Energy owns multiple projects strategically located near these uranium giants. Mustang Energy's partnered with working with these industry leaders such as Axiom Exploration, DeRouge Geological Consulting, Red Cloud Securities, and Sky Harbor Resources. This is my first uranium company that I'm featuring during the Trump nuclear renaissance. Research Mustang Energy, ticker MECPF.
Wow. It's telling you to invest in uranium because everyone's investing in they're making a whole infrastructure system for nuclear energy. Right, nuclear reactors, all that stuff. Processing plant, probably, too. There you have it.
All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.
RJ Talks. Okay. Should be mandatory, yeah. Yeah, the fact that these people are trying to do like no voter ID and shit is like, dude, you're asking for bad shit to happen. You're just asking for it. And it probably has already been done, right? Fucking people cheating and shit. Just look at Newsom. Motherfucker's still in power somehow. Nancy Pelosi still in power somehow. Fucking get these people out. Like, why? Let's check out this Russian women's prison with femme fatales, right?
Who would have thought that this delicate-looking young woman could be a killer? For the past 4 years, she has been locked up in a Russian women's prison. Once skilled at using sewing machines and feeding cows and pigs, her hands are now tasked with cleaning up animal waste. Of course, participating in labor is a standard part of the penitentiary reform program for female inmates. Those who fail to follow the rules face severe punishment. Guards can beat them and confine them in a small, dark room. A punishment no different from what male inmates endure.
Yeah.
In a women's prison located in Russia.
Okay. So basically, just like men's prison, you'll get beat the fuck up. So you probably do a heinous crime, and some people will probably look at you side-eye and might shank you.
Ural Mountains. There are 420 inmates. Each one arrived here with a notorious criminal record, including burglary, armed robbery, murder, arson, smuggling, and drug trafficking. But now they have been transformed into obedient lambs. Their daily routine begins at 6:30 a.m., with mandatory outdoor exercise in freezing temperatures as low as -8 degrees Celsius. This 30-minute workout is a non-negotiable activity for all inmates capable of standing on their own 2 feet. The woman you see here is the prison director. At 42 years old, she has spent over 20 years working with inmates. She claims that escape is not an option here. There is simply no way out. The prison is surrounded by tall fences topped with razor-sharp barbed wire. Ferocious dogs patrol the
they even got guys
there
too. I thought it was just an all-women's facility.
On top of that, state-of-the-art surveillance technology ensures 360-degree coverage with no blind spots. Inmates are searched 2 to 3 times a day, leaving no chance for anyone to slip away unnoticed. After morning exercise, inmates line up for breakfast. The prison offers various forms of labor. Some operate sewing machines in factories, others care for pigs and cows on prison farms, and some prepare meals in the kitchen. Even the bread they eat is baked within the prison.
Freshly
One young
baked bread.
inmate, 18-year-old Victoria, works as a baker. Despite her age, she has already spent 4 years behind bars. When asked about her crime, Victoria explained with innocent eyes that she had struck her mother's abusive boyfriend too hard while trying to protect her, resulting in his death. Because of her age at the time, she was sentenced to 6 years in a juvenile detention facility.
How much you can do
there, She is one
there,
of 200 minors serving time here. Similarly, 18-year-old Tatiana was convicted of drug trafficking and sentenced to 3 years in prison. At the height of her operations, she earned $1,000 a month, a fortune for someone from one of Russia's poorest regions. Now she spends her days sewing in the prison workshop. Thanks to good behavior, Tatiana has been assigned to a luxury double cell, complete with furniture, allowing her time to paint or learn computer skills. Although her cell lacks privacy, she has grown accustomed to life here. Sarah, a 30-year-old inmate, is a model
They're giving
prisoner.
back some of her rights.
Serving her third sentence, she was convicted of drug trafficking and is halfway through a 6-year sentence. As a repeat offender, she is housed in the prison's second section, alongside 80 other women, most of whom are also drug offenders. Once a gang leader, Sarah now spends her days working diligently in the sewing workshop, crafting clothing for hunters and fishermen. Her hard work earns her about $50 a month, most of which she sends to her parents and her 13-year-old son. Though her earnings pale in comparison to her past as a drug dealer, Sarah says she has found peace in prison. Working on the prison farm is one of the toughest assignments. Inmates must endure the stench of animal waste, handle heavy labor such as mixing feed and cleaning barns, and take care of livestock, including postnatal care for sows. The meat they produce goes to military stockpiles. Inmates who break the rules are sent to a basement punishment cell, a cramped, damp, and dilapidated 8-square-meter room that can hold up to 4 people. Inside, all furniture is welded to the floor, including foldable beds. The only items provided are a sink, a toilet, and 2 broken lockers. During their time in isolation, inmates are allowed only food and water. Guards occasionally check in, and disciplinary actions may include physical punishment. However, there is a more humane side to life in this prison. Well-behaved inmates are allowed family visits once every 3 months. The facility provides private visitation rooms equipped with 2 single beds, a kitchenette, a bathroom, a refrigerator, a television, a microwave, and a fan. As long as inmates follow the rules, they can enjoy 3 days of uninterrupted time with their loved ones. Russia has 35 women's prisons, housing over 60,000 inmates. According to prison guards, the maximum sentence for female offenders is 20 years, and they are provided with the most basic living conditions. In contrast, male inmates often face much harsher environments, such as those in the notorious Fire Island prison or the Black Dolphin prison, where survival is an everyday battle.
I mean, probably because most of those guys are in fucking
and
gangs
don't forget
and
to
shit.
turn on notifications so you never miss an update.
Most of them probably fly off the handle too. There you go, Mind Odyssey. Let's see. What time is it? I have class in the morning. Or well, not class, but I have a meeting in the morning, I think. Let me make sure. Oh, let's see. This says February 24th. Sorry. Just making sure. But yeah. Yeah. I still got some time left. Let's see. What are we going next? Why do bad people succeed in life? Or should we do... let's do China first. Let's do new China marriage law takes effect. Gold diggers break down. What will they do now? This has to do with the whole, their laws regarding marriage and, their, whatchamacallit, their dowry stuff and whatnot.
The new marriage law has been implemented. Did you hear about it? Some of the regulations seem to protect women, but in reality they are actually protecting men. Moreover, whether in developed or developing countries, the higher the status of women, the less they want to have children. This is because childbirth inherently limits women's growth. So if we look at these changes in legislation, we'll see that if women continue to refuse to have children, these rules will be adjusted year after year to put even more pressure on us. This is a fact. History has already shown us this. Because unlike Europe, where men truly protect women, we don't have that kind of protection. And another thing, when Chinese women get into relationships with foreign men, whether they are white or black, we are often ridiculed, as if we were easy to get. This is just another form of manipulation against us women. The truth is, if foreign men live in countries where laws protect women, it's natural that we'd be more willing to be with them, right? On the other hand, if the laws don't ensure that protection, even if we are with a Chinese man, many women would rather avoid marriage. At the end of the day, all of this comes down to a historical and structural form of oppression against women. The people who revise the marriage law, can you still sleep at night? Wake up, your precious ones. The marriage law has a huge loophole. The entire text is just about money, who gets what.
Yeah.
You really know how to calculate, don't you? But do you know what you forgot to factor in? The fact that women carry a baby for 9 months, go through childbirth, risking their lives and enduring unimaginable
apparently
pain.
I guess the new law kind of reduces the money that some of these women can take from these men. Because if you really think about it, some of these men don't have, right, that much money to make for a dowry for these women. It's like, everyone's getting fucked over, in a sense.
Forgot to account.
Or at least the women act like, right, they are entitled to more of what the man is giving up.
For the sleepless nights of breastfeeding, the physical and emotional exhaustion of raising a child, and the daily struggle of working mothers trying to balance their careers and motherhood. You forgot to consider that, because of motherhood, many women see their careers stagnate, lose opportunities for promotions and salary increases. This invisible cost, this loss of opportunities, did you forget to include that in your calculations too? Or did you not forget but simply choose to ignore it? Maybe because laws are made by men. Men who will never have to give birth and will never feel this pain firsthand. That's why they treat motherhood as something natural and mandatory for women, without even questioning it. Women bear all the consequences of pregnancy, yet the child takes the father's last name. And on top of that,
Well, I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, yes, women take the brunt physically. Right, they do get sick sometimes when they're bearing a child, right? And they do have mood swings when they're bearing the child, right? And they get fucking certain their hormones are all over the place. So yeah, I mean, yeah, true, sure. But it does affect the husband as well, and because the husband's trying to make you as happy as possible too, right?
The husband's assets must be carefully separated from the wife's. And then they have the audacity to talk about fairness? What a joke. This is just another example of male hypocrisy, taking advantage while pretending to be fair. Have you noticed that in recent years, every revision of the marriage law has further reduced women's rights? This teaches us one clear lesson.
Huh?
Women can no longer...
That's weird, because in America... we have to do, like, prenups and shit, right? But, yeah, in China, they have to do, like, some weird dowry system. They have to pay a dowry for the women to get, when they get married and shit like that. And then... yeah, the whole child... I don't know how I would assume childcare the childcare system works the same way as in America, maybe. But who knows?
Rely on men, nor be trapped by love or family as the foundation of their lives. We need to be strong for ourselves. We need to study, make money, build careers, enter politics, and take positions of power to fight for greater representation for ourselves and for millions of other women. True justice will only be achieved when more women actively participate in creating the laws.
The new marriage law will completely change the relationship between husband and wife. The A system will become mainstream, and the old marriage model, often seen as a transaction where women were greedy for money and men were driven by lust, is over. However, starting on February 1st of this year, everything changed. With the official implementation of the new section on marriage and family in the Civil Code, women's economic rights in marriage have been significantly reduced. For example, if one of the spouse's parents fully finances the purchase of a house after the marriage, the property will belong to their child after a divorce. If both spouses contribute to the purchase of a property, the division will be based on each person's contribution to the property. In simple terms, both before and after marriage, and regardless of whether the other spouse's name is on the house or not, the property will belong to the party that contributed the resources.
Oh, it's like it's like the prenup system, right? Post prenup and a pre prenup. Yeah, so they baked it in. Sounds like.
It is clear that the era of dividing property in the house.
Yeah, because the prenup is a safety net, so that it makes sure that your assets are yours and that her assets are hers, right? Or well, whatever same-sex marriage, right? Whatever the marriage, opposite-sex marriage, right? Stuff like that.
Equally after a divorce is over. The new law aims to protect the party with greater economic power. The rule now is that whoever earns the money keeps it. Women can no longer rely on wealth, and the bar has been raised for men as well. Why make these changes now? What impact will these changes have in the next
decade?
decade?
Because I think before it would, the people are getting fucked up, right? There was a high divorce rate in terms of shit going on, like the way they had it before.
Today, I will provide an in-depth analysis of this topic. The next 10 years, from 2025 to 2035, will be a period of unprecedented changes. This is not only a time when China is starting to come out of the economic recession and embrace recovery, but also the key decade in the strategic competition between the U.S. and China. Therefore, recently, they implemented a package of measures. These measures include reforms to the marriage system and support for new and clean energy vehicles. From an individual perspective, this seems to encourage women to become more independent. But from a national perspective, the real goal is that they urgently need more people contributing to social production, regardless of gender. Everyone must work to contribute to the country's economic development. Some women, upon seeing these changes, complain that they gave so much to their families, from
So basically, they don't want people to become
only to
fat
have all
and
that
to live
denied.
off
They
welfare.
say that if they could earn
Just like
money,
people in America
they wouldn't
do.
need a man. If women want to exchange their ability to bear children for a lifetime of support from a man, perhaps it's better not to marry. As a result, women are now forced to work to support themselves by their own homes and contribute to the country's GDP. The new marriage law will promote the economic and personal independence of both spouses, making their union more beneficial for long-term family stability. Even if they divorce, both can continue creating social value, encouraging maximum participation from everyone in social production. In other words, they temporarily abandon the quantity of marriages and instead choose to win through wisdom. In the last 20 years, countless housewives have emerged in China, but with the recent debt defaults by private real estate companies, property prices in large cities have plummeted, leading to the collapse of the middle class and plunging numerous families into financial ruin. A debt-ridden man, a woman who has lost her ability to work, and a child inheriting a worthless property. To avoid repeating this cycle, the higher-ups have already made it clear that being a housewife is a high-risk profession for women and that economic independence is a necessity. There must be a fundamental shift toward full equality between men and women. What changes will we see in society in the next 10 years due to these adaptations? I believe that, first, the marriage rate will decline even further, but the divorce rate will decrease significantly as the threshold for marriage has been raised. Women who were once hesitant may completely abandon the idea of marriage, and those who marry will not divorce easily. Second, as women must achieve economic independence, many will create more value in the job market. The number of housewives will continue to decrease, and the number of full-time...
Basically, they're saying you can't be a housewife anymore, right? Because that doesn't make you any money. Right, that only helps, right, that you're only staying at home and, right, helping the child grow up, doing housework that doesn't really, right, put back into the GDP or the economy, right, right, because if you're working at a job, you're actively adding to the GDP and economy through your job profession. But for housewife, it's not a governmental job position, right?
time women and parents will increase. Third,
Or that's
women's
not a
standards
career
for choosing a spouse
or a
will
job
change.
in the sense
Having a
of
car, a
how the
house,
government
power,
sees
or
it.
influence will no longer be the
You
only
don't make any
criteria
money
for a
from it,
woman to
right?
choose a partner. Many women once saw control of household finances as a status symbol, thinking that a man who handed over the finances for them to manage was a good partner. But now, all of this has lost its meaning because what belongs to men will always be theirs. Once divorced, that property may no longer be considered theirs. Therefore, women will focus more on the man's level of education, whether he can provide emotional value, and if he truly respects women when considering a potential partner. Fourth, given that the number of men in China greatly exceeds that of women, and some women prefer to age alone rather than allow men to take advantage of them, many have completely abandoned the fantasy of marriage. This will make the dating environment for average men even more challenging, and the number of older, single men will increase. At this point,
there's
have you
a
realized that
homeless
after this
population
reform to
too.
the marriage system, the next 10 years will be a big challenge for most men? For women, the more dependent they are, the greater the risk. No matter how good the co-pilot is, it's always better to have your hands on the wheel. In summary, economic independence is both the greatest strength.
Yeah, I mean, right. He's basically saying it's better to be in control than not be in control, right?
A great weakness for many women. What do you think?
The girls are facing big changes. The new marriage law officially came into effect on the 4th day of the Chinese New Year this year. If you're a girl who still believes that dating or marriage can change your life, it's time to wake up. With this new marriage law, women are being forced to grow. It basically eliminates any possibility for women who seek dependence through marriage, sending a clear message to women at the grassroots level, relying on others.
Seek dependence, right? So yeah, they were actively trying to use men as a tool, in a sense. Right, they wanted the traditional lifestyle, I guess, where they're the stay-at-home moms, and they don't have to go work. All they have to do is sit at home, feed the children, take care of the children, take care of the house, right, go shopping and all that jazz, while the men, make all the money.
Others won't help. You need to count on yourself. To put it simply, working in two directions. It doesn't matter whether the house was purchased before or after marriage. If you didn't contribute financially, even if your name is on the property deed, you won't have any rights to the house in case of divorce.
So basically, they're trying to they're trying to fix the issue of people fighting over assets, right? Draws a clear line, right? Tries to stop these people from creating goalposts and moving them.
The house will belong to the person who invested the money. Even if both parents contributed to the house purchase, it will belong to the children of those parents, and adding your name to the deed will not change that. In summary, the new marriage law favors the spouse with greater economic power in the relationship. The principle is simple. Where the money is, there is the property.
Yep.
The woman's property belongs to her. The law no longer makes exceptions for couples raising and educating children. There is no longer special treatment for those who go through the process of raising and educating children. The new marriage law closes the legal loopholes that existed in previous divorces, protecting the economically stronger spouse. The rule is clear now. Who earns, pays, and contributes keeps what they contributed.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if one spouse's name is added to
basically it's like a prenup and post-prenup. Or post-up. Protect your assets.
The deed after marriage, the house will not be considered joint property. And what does this mean? First, housework will increasingly become free labor, and the damages caused by maternity will have no compensation. In other words, it's even clearer now that everything must be calculated economically.
Mm-hmm.
Women, you must go out and work.
I mean, you would only do the prenup and whatnot if you felt like it was an absolute necessary to fucking keep a security net.
Otherwise, if the wife is kicked out of the house, there will be no compensation. For those women
Especially
who have
if you
already
don't know if
invested
your
time,
spouse is gonna
energy,
fuck
and
you
youth
over
into
in
the
the future,
family,
right?
the law offers no emotional compensation.
Because they
In
could
short,
potentially just
marriage has
take
shifted
everything
from
from
an
you.
economic community to a
It's just
every
like,
man
well,
for
well,
himself
that's
situation,
fucked.
where everyone must strive individually. Marriage is no longer a pathway to success for those getting ahead in life. Ladies, stop saying that you're responsible for beauty and he's responsible for earning money. The more you depend on him, the greater the risk. If you're not independent, it will be harder to find a good place in marriage.
I'm
No
gonna speed this
co-pilot
up.
is better than being the
How much
one
time do
holding
I-
the
oh,
steering
okay.
wheel. In summary, financial independence is the greatest strength a woman can have.
In the future, it's possible that even fewer people will want to get married. This
Mhm.
is because the new marriage law, simply put, establishes that money belongs to the one who earned it. Property belongs.
Yeah, so as you can see, they this is 1, 2. And it goes into a synopsis of it. There's a third woman, a fourth one, right? There's probably a fifth woman. Yep.
Belongs to the one who bought it, and the money of the parents
all the
remains with the
women,
parents.
all the
Some
women are
ask,
saying
what
the
if the
same
man
thing.
transfers the house and car to my name before marriage? Does that work? The answer is no. The court decides based on the bank statements. Whoever paid for the car and house remains the owner, regardless of the name transfer. Marriage has always had a financial and physical attraction component, with a touch of romance to cover it up. Now that the distinction between pre- and post-marriage assets is so clear, some people may simply give up on the idea of marriage. As the saying goes, too clear water has no fish. Meaning, when intentions are exposed, many realize that, deep down, marriage has always involved material interests. And if that financial advantage door is closed, some may prefer not to get married. This could lead to a decrease in marriage rates and maybe even a decrease in divorce rates. Marriage has always been complex. Ask those who've been through it. Few marry just for love. In most cases, marriage is a decision based on a combination of factors like security, financial stability, biology, and social pressure.
The new marriage law, which officially came into effect yesterday, February 1st, shocked me when I analyzed it. I realized that now the efforts of women within the family, especially regarding household labor, have completely lost their value. To summarize, the new law
it's been,
encourages
what,
women
2
to go
weeks?
out and work. Its
3
ultimate
weeks?
goal is to protect the assets of the higher earning spouse. However, in doing so, it completely denies the value of household labor. In the past, many families followed the model where the man worked outside while the woman took care of the home. We often heard that men build their careers outside, but how could they focus entirely on that if they didn't have a wife ensuring stability at home? Back then, a woman's contribution to the family was considered essential, almost as important as building an atomic bomb. But now, all of that has become a thing of the past, completely disregarded. Today, there's a new term for it, quantification. All household labor can now be quantified. But the real question is, who determines its value? It's not the woman herself. It's the higher earning spouse, or in case of divorce, some judges in court who will decide how much that effort is worth.
Oh, okay. So basically, whoever's the higher earning spouse, right, will have precedence. Or whoever the judge is looking over, and they see whoever's making the most, right, they'll go with that or whatever.
And what if a couple decides to have children, but doesn't have parents or relatives to help care for them? How will household responsibilities be divided in that case? Housework follows a fixed, repetitive routine every day. If I don't do it, you will have to. The same applies to childcare.
Yeah.
If there's no external help, either one of the parents must take full responsibility, or they hire a nanny and both go to work.
Yeah.
But let's be realistic. 99.9% of mothers wouldn't feel comfortable leaving their children in the hands of a stranger. So if this new law encourages women to work...
I mean, I was put in it, when I was younger, I was put into daycare. Because my parents were both working. So it's like, to me, it's like, whatever. Because it's like, I mean, you do have to make a choice. Right. You either do daycare, you either have, or some kind of person to care for your child until, right, the parents come home, or the parents pick up the children, right? Or you do a daycare, right? You have to pay money for that, obviously. And then you have to do your interviewing and see if they're the right person to do the caring for your child, right? Or you can have one of the parents stay home, right? Be a stay-at-home mom. Or have a trade-off, right? One parent is like stay at home till, right, the other parent comes back home, right? So one's a night shift worker versus one's a day shift worker. Right? Could do it that way. Right? I mean, there's obviously ways you could do it. But yeah, it's obviously up to the people who are making that decision.
Won't the final result end up being exactly the same as before? Women will still have to work, do housework, and take care of the children all at once. How can this cycle be broken? The only apparent solution is not to marry and not to have children,
Hello, that
or
girl
at most
looks
to
like
marry
you?
but choose not to
Oh,
have
yeah.
kids. I had hoped that
Okay.
the new legislation would offer greater protection to women who dedicate their
I'm gonna
lives to their
fucking
families.
stab you one of these
Perhaps
days.
something like requiring husbands to automatically transfer half of their salary to their wife's account, preventing her from having to ask him for money. Or providing
I'm gonna
more
make you
benefits to women
swallow
who focus on
bleach one
household
of these
responsibilities.
days.
But to
I
my
hope you know
surprise,
that.
the solution was simply to push all
And if
women
you're
into the
not going
workforce
to
and
swallow
completely
it,
disregard any
I'm gonna
recognition of
make
domestic
your
labor.
eyes burn.
I support female financial independence. But in reality, many young women struggle to balance
fucking
everything,
piece of
especially
shit.
those without parents or relatives to help them. Earning your own money is great, but for many mothers, their child's growth and well-being will always be the top priority. And if women are now forced to choose between these two options, isn't that a cruel decision? Why can't society be
What
more
do you mean?
understanding and allow women to have both at the same time?
What do you mean?
Now, do you understand what society really is? If it doesn't support you, then the concept of a housewife ceases to exist. Anyone who chooses to be a full-time housewife is doomed. You need to pay attention to the new civil code. I've already received insider information. Do you want to hear it? Starting February 1st, a new civil code
This
has
is the
been
guy's
implemented,
side.
transitioning from a trial phase to becoming official. It introduces 3 changes that are extremely unfavorable to women. They claim it's meant to prevent people from taking
Oh, so he even says it's unfavorable to women. I mean, in a sense, it kind of is, right? Because it literally it takes away your right to be a at-home mother.
taking advantage of marriage for financial gain. But in reality, it means that using marriage to acquire wealth is becoming increasingly difficult. In other words,
Yeah,
the
that
era
too.
of marrying to
Right,
be
some people do marry just for the sake of resources or, right, to do things. Yeah, not wrong.
financially supported is over. The new civil
I
code
mean,
makes it clear
just look at a lot of the famous sports players. They change wives like constantly. Some of these people are getting divorced, remarried, and shit. Like, Jesus Christ.
clear. If you try to use your ability to bear children as a bargaining tool to secure financial stability in marriage, there is only one outcome: divorce. And once the dowry money is spent, you'll be left with nothing. The time has come when everyone must support themselves. Now, let me explain the 3 key points of these changes. First, how is property ownership before marriage defined? Previously, if your name was on the deed, you had a right to the asset, right? Even if the man paid the majority or even the full amount, if the woman's name was on the deed, she was entitled to half. But that has changed. As of February 1st, the person who pays for the property is the true owner, regardless of whose name is on the document. For example, if a property costs $50,000 and the man pays $40,000, the woman will only have a 10% share.
Yeah.
This applies to assets acquired before marriage.
Correct.
Second, how will finances be handled during marriage? Previously, assets accumulated during marriage were automatically shared. Now, the new civil code states that salaries and assets acquired by each person belong exclusively to the one who earned them. If, in the past, one spouse could be held responsible for debts acquired by the other without their consent, that is no longer the case. The rule is now clear. If the husband, for example, takes out a loan in his name, he alone is responsible for repaying it.
Yeah.
Third, what about financial responsibilities after divorce? Now, asset division will be based on each person's financial contribution. If both spouses invested in purchasing a property, the division will be proportional to their individual contributions.
How much they
Marriage has now
contribute.
become purely a commercial contract. Additionally, parental responsibilities will also be split. Both parents will need to bear the costs of raising children, and the mother will no longer be able to simply shift the financial burden.
Oh. Both parents have to pay a child childcare fee, basically. Right, both parents have to pay for childcare. You can't offset the childcare onto one parent now, which it would probably be onto the man in China. So instead now it's to both parents. So that's why it's not good to be a housewife anymore, because they're making childcare be on both parents now, and they actually have to put a financial price on it, financial burden on those. Right? Well. So yeah, you do have to earn money if you want to fucking be in a marriage and have kids.
Onto the father. Now, do you understand? There's no more running from reality. This is the era of women's rise, and change is inevitable. The truth is, laws like this are not made without reason. When a government changes the rules, it means they have already analyzed all the necessary conditions.
True.
If they decided to make these changes now, it's because they no longer want to see so many people living off others. For years, I've been saying that between 50 million and 100 million people were living without contributing to society. Now, the game has changed.
Oh, wow.
There's no room for those who don't work. If you don't produce, you don't get...
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way with America. Right? If you're not working, if you're not producing anything, I don't think you should get paid. But, you know, that's just my opinion.
It's as simple as that. The entire country functions like a massive corporation.
Yeah.
And those who don't work are laid off. This is the future. No effort, no benefits. If women want a strong position in society, they will have to work like everyone else. There are no more gender-based privileges. So, are you still not going to invest in the 29.90 course to better...
this is also the idea of, right, China doesn't want to do universal basic income, basically. And that's kind of how America doesn't want to do it either, as of right now. Right? Because if you wanted universal basic income and all the universal basic necessities and stuff like that, you would have to find a way that these people are actually producing something, right, that actually puts back into the system. Because if they're just living off the system without, right, putting back into the system, then they're just getting free shit, basically. And there's already tons of people getting free shit. Right. I mean, it's a different story with people who need like VA care and stuff like that. Right. That's a different story. The VA, the veterans have been getting fucked over a lot. So it's kind of like homeless people get fucked over a lot. I mean, the whole situation's bad, right? Because it's a case-by-case basis, basically.
Better understand these changes.
I mean, obviously, we can generalize. Yes, there are groups of veterans who are getting fucked by the system and need help. And then there are non-groups of veterans that are, basically regular citizens who are cheating the system and fucking the system up. We gotta root those people out. And there's obviously, people who are legally using the system, and we have to, bucket them in a list as well. So we have an issue where it's hard to keep track of everyone, basically. Because it's constantly changing, and then, you have new people entering the system constantly. You have new people cheating the system constantly, right? It feels like a never-ending fucking battle, right? Never-ending cycle.
I'd love to know your point of view on this new law. Do you agree with it? If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more videos.
The abuse of women's privileges lead to
new...
Yeah, that's the other thing too, right? If you abuse the system too much, they're just going to, limit everyone, They're just going to take away everyone's rights, and that's not something you want. And you can already see it with the government, with the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, They're trying to fucking take your rights away, literally, slowly. Some of these amendments that, the Democrats at least, they were trying to fuck people up constantly. And then now Trump's in power. Hopefully that stops them from trying to fuck people over. My money is my money. Your money is your money. Seems fair. Yeah, basically. Be like Japan will no longer be a country with the largest population. All these mediocre 2 out of 10 women that don't know how to cook and clean. It's fucked up. Very unfair for women trying a new law. I mean, it just puts more restriction on women, right? And it doesn't, it tries to, right, reduce the amount of, like, cheating the system and, like, cheating the marriage, right? And putting all your eggs in one basket in the fucking dude, right? But yeah, it's basically reducing the gold diggers. Yeah, the gold diggers most affected. Yeah, cheating wives, stuff like that. Anyways. Because there is a problem with adultery between between the and people in their relationship sometimes, whether it's the man doing it or the woman doing it, right? It's basically a 50-50 chance that one of them are cheating. Or could be cheating, you never know, right?